Yeah, what's happening? Same old, same old. Say what now? Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah. Oh, yep. We got to get everybody caught up. Oh. No new movie. Well, The Irishman. Have you seen Irishman yet, or no? Have you seen Irishman yet on Netflix? Oh, yeah. I didn't think it was a bad movie at all. I watched it all the way through, and I didn't. Yeah. Nah. Yeah. 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 Right. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. How's everything else going with you? Okay. Right. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Glad to hear it. Uh, Same. Working, overworked, and trying to stay warm because it's been kind of cold out these days. So you know, other than that, I no complaints. Okay. Well, no, the only new one is the Irishman. Everything else is going to be stuff that came out already, and then just getting caught up on the Mandalorian and the Watchmen. How how you like it so far? Okay, that's what's up. I get why everyone's. I mean, because everyone's on pins and needles over this the Last Jedi shit. Because and what the leaks already confirmed. I don't. That, mm, oh, without question, yeah, easily. Right, right, right. Yo, I gotta give me a T-shirt, man. Listen, Baby Yoda is gonna be the shit for Christmas. I'm over. I'm all over it, man. I'm sorry. I'm on it. I'm on the hype train. I'm on the hype train. Yeah, Right. Yes, sir. All right. Once again, you are tuned into the Morning Star Show featuring Super Slot 75. I am your gracious and ever humble host, Super Slot 75. First, I want to give a shout out to Ron the Boards, our producer extraordinaire, Cindy Ashby. Also, you can catch us on www.onthewakeupradio.com. We're always on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and now iHeartRadio for the replays. The call-in number is always 646-547-1305. Also, please feel free to donate any amounts, which will go to website and airtime. It's a labor of love, but we still live in a costly world. If you appreciate the free content, please help us keep the message uncensored and free. You can always donate through PayPal at onthewakeupradio@gmail.com. Also, you can find me on YouTube under Super Slash 75 and the backup channel, Heavily Flawed Individual. Merchandise is always available at teespring.com/Super Slash 75. First things first, before I get started, I want to give a shout out to Big B for the super chat. Thank you, bro. All right, so now we got a lot to catch up on tonight. I'm not going to rush through. I'm going to take my time, and whatever we don't get tonight, we'll catch on the next go round. So first things first, the Mandalorian episode, what is this? 4. And I got 2 words. All I can say is pretty much Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda steals this episode. Disney's going to make a shitload of money off Baby Yoda merchandise, and I'm here for it. So let's get right into it, if y'all don't mind. So first things first, there's a village that's attacked by marauders. Mando and Baby Yoda are in flight. This is the hilarious scene. This is what everyone's been seeing all this weekend, all this last week. The memes and the gifs of Baby Yoda touching the control panel. And then what people have been doing is they put songs, instrumentals, in the songs that he pushes the button. So every time he pushes a button, there's a song playing. And then Mando turns it off. And then Baby Yoda looks at him again and touches the button, and another song will play. And then Mando turns it off. But the last hilarious part is when he perks his ears up and he just kind of leans back towards the button and pushes it one final time. Hilarious. It is comedic gold. Like, if I had to compare like Gizmo and Baby Groot and Baby Yoda as far as the cutest things, I'm gonna go with Gizmo and Baby Yoda as a tie, because the cute factor is ridiculous with this thing. So so he's pushing the buttons. Mando tells him stop pushing the buttons. So they land on a planet called Schworgen. This is the village that was attacked in the very beginning of the episode. Mando and Baby set out to explore. They go to a bar. Cara Dune, played by Gina Carano, former MMA fighter. She was before Ronda Rousey, but Gina could actually fight. Big difference. So she gives him a look, and then he asks the bartender about the woman. He goes to look for her. There's a nice little montage to the predator. He uses his infrared to see her footprints in the dirt. So he's looking for her. She attacks him. They have a little skirmish, back and forth fight. The second most popular meme and gif of Baby Yoda, while they're fighting towards the end of the fight, they pull pistols on each other. You see Baby Yoda sipping his juice in a cup, and he's making these slurping sounds as he's drinking it, and he's just looking at them. It is the most hilarious thing on TV right now. Baby Yoda it's a landslide. It's the wave is Baby Yoda. So he's looking at him while he's drinking his soup. So they go back to the bar together. She thought he was there to capture her because there's a bounty on her head as well. So Mando's prepping to leave the planet because she was there first. And then he's offered a job by quill farmers. He agrees to help them in exchange for lodging and credits. He offers Kara a job to help protect the farmers from the marauders. Okay, Minska, I think her name is Minska. She offers to fade Baby Yoda and babysit. And there's a daughter, Winter. The host, Minska, asks how long has it been since he's taken off his mask. Here's a key part. In front of anyone, Mando says he was a foundling and that he was happy they took him in. So what people need to understand is the Mandalorians are not so much a race, but you can join the clan. You just have to adapt to their ways and creed. So there's different types of species of Mandalorians. It's not one specific race of, say, Mandalorians. Okay, so then it says he was a foundling. They took him in. Said this is the way. He then removes his helmet when she leaves, so he can eat his food. So they do take off the mask just in private, so you can't see them. All right. So then they go tracking the marauders, and they find Imperial Walker ATST tracks. So Mando tells the villagers they can no longer live there. The villagers refuse to leave. Mando agrees to teach them how to fight. Mando and Cara will handle the ATST, and the villagers will take on the marauders. Cara Dune was a drop soldier for the rebellion. They agreed to build a trap. Winter's mother is the best marksman. Slight controversy. She ended up being they was teaching how to target practice with the laser pistols, and then everyone got upset because she's a dead shot. So, just whatever. Okay, so then Cara and Mando scout ahead. They find a marauder attack outpost. They attack it, set explosives. They blow up the camp. And once they blow up the camp, the ATST gives chase. The ATST pilots see the trap, and the marauders begin to attack on foot while the ATST lays down suppressing fire. Cara lures the walker into the trap. Cara then shoots one of the pilots in the cockpit. It falls down. Then Mando throws a grenade into the other cockpit as it explodes. Baby Yoda, after the whole scrimmage is over, this is a few weeks went by. Baby Yoda's a hit with the kids. Minska tells Mando Baby Yoda's happy here and fits right in. Cara asks what happens if he takes off his mask. Mando says he could never put it back on again. So then Cara was like, well, you don't want to get with that nice young widow and make a family? And he doesn't say anything at that point. So then it's been a few weeks since they defeated the village, defended the village. Mando tells Cara word travels fast and they should leave. Okay. Mando then tells Cara he's leaving Baby Yoda with the villagers. Mando tells Winter's mother he's leaving Yoda with them. And then another bounty hunter is tracking them while they're talking. So Minska asks Mando if he's happy here. They want him to stay. You and your boy can have a good life. So Baby Yoda is a male. Okay. She says he could be a child for a while. Wouldn't that be nice? Mando's voice cracks. He says it would. So you can hear the pain in his voice, like he wants to give it up, but he just can't. Okay. So then he stops. He's about to lift his mask off, and he stops her. Mando says he doesn't belong here. Minska says she will look after him like he's one of her own. Meanwhile, Baby Yoda's in a target sight of another bounty hunter, and a shot is heard. And then they go to the bounty hunter. It shows Cara shooting the guy from the back. She saw him first. So then Mando and Cara go their separate ways. Mando leaves for the Ridge Crest. So that's the episode of Mandalorian. That went episode 4. I think we got maybe 4 more episodes left in this series for the season. So yeah, Baby Yoda is a complete huge hit. It's a marketing bonanza for this show. If people are watching this show just for Baby Yoda alone. So that was the Mandalorian. And okay, so let's get into the episode y'all came here to see, to talk about. All right. So the Watchmen, episode 7. Now we understand that episode 6 left us a little bit upset and a bit disheartened. And I will say this, that this episode has redeemed itself and the image of the black man. And let me say first and foremost, this episode should be called Hiram Abiff. And if you don't know who Hiram Abiff is, then you're not into masonry. You don't belong to a lodge. This episode is a Masonic wet dream. I'm not saying that to throw shade. I'm just telling you, this episode is so deep. If you are in the lodge, or if you are a brother in the craft, this episode speaks to you deeply. So let's get into it now. First off, there's a documentary about John Oster, aka Dr. Manhattan. Okay. So basically, for those that haven't seen the movie, the reason why he stepped into the intrinsic field generator, he went to go get his girlfriend's watch. Remember, he picked up the watch and he got caught in the generator, and then he ended up becoming basically a blue god. There are no cars with combustible engines. They all run off lithium batteries. He gave them the technology to do the lithium batteries for watches, cars, anything with a combustible engine, anything with mechanical devices is pretty much replaced with lithium. Okay, then Dr. Manhattan ends Vietnam. Vietnam becomes the 51st state. It's Dr. Manhattan Day in Saigon. So we're going back to Angela's childhood. All right. Angela finds a DVD of Sister Night. It's a black exploitation film in a store. Angela shows her parents. Her dad tells her people who wear masks are dangerous because they're hiding something. As she goes to return the tape, she sees a puppeteer with a scar on his face give a backpack to a guy on a bicycle. The guy on the bicycle is a suicide bomber. He then jumps into the Jeep that's right behind her parents and screams death to the invaders and blows himself up, killing her parents. Okay? So then Angela wakes up, present day. Lady True tells Angela, hey, Blake called True to help with the nostalgia recovery. Lady True injects her with nostalgia history process. It's called pneumodialysis. It is foreign memories have clogged her neural networks, threatening higher cognitive functions. It's called recollective infestation. Neurodialysis saturates the brain with cerebral spinal fluid and flushes the nostalgia from the cortex. There's a cut scene of the Cyclops file. Okay. Then we cut back. Angela wants to talk to her grandfather. Lady True says, no, you cannot. Angela lies to True about what knocked her out of the bed. Calvin attempts to visit Angela. He's greeted by a young hologram of Byung, which is True's daughter. Okay, he's denied due to the impending operation of the millennial clock. Meanwhile, Blake is listening to a tape recording of Angela repeating Will's actions to Judd. Petey went to Wade's, or AKA Looking Glass's house, finds the 5 dead cavalry members in the underground bunker. Okay, he calls Blake. Blake tells Petey, don't call it in. Blake goes to Judd's house to have a talk with his wife. All right. Blake tells her she knows who killed her husband. Mrs. Crawford says she thought Angela had no family. Crawford then asks, why would Will want to kill her husband? Because at this point, Blake spills all the beans, her whole theory, to Mrs. Crawford, Judd's wife. Okay. She tells Crawford William was hooded justice and asks her if Cyclops meant anything to her. Blake tells Crawford she believes Will thought her husband was a part of the Cyclops, hence his murder. Blake tells Crawford she entertains the theory, then tells Crawford you have to then worry about his friends like Joe Kane. She suspects Joe Kane was behind the White Knights and that the 7th Cavalry is another name for Cyclops. And this is designed to get Joe Kane into the president's seat. Crawford says, well, that was the original idea, but the idea of president seems small potatoes. Okay, and then Crawford reaches for a remote to activate the trap door on the couch Blake is sitting on. Blake falls through. Crawford calls Kane. Cut back to Lady True's. Angela awakens again and is given an aptitude test by Byung. Byung says it's research for her dissertation on the adaptive function of empathy and the role of rage suppression and social cohesion. She asks Angela, is it a hard line to the kids about being a cop? Angela says it's for their best interest and for them not to worry. Well, Beyond asks, if you don't want your kids to worry about a cop, then why are you a cop? This is deep shit. Okay. So then we cut back to little Angela. She's in an orphanage. She then identifies one of the bomber's accomplice, the puppeteer with the scar on his eye. Angela asks to listen to the torture session. The female cop gives her a badge to Angela and tells her, when you grow up, you come find me. And then you hear a gunshot. So they executed the guy. Okay. The accomplice that helped murder her parents. All right. So then Beyond asks, well, whose memory did you experience? She says it was hers. Okay. Beyond says she has dreams that she's an old woman and that she's scared and it hurts. She asks, well, how did it feel, Angela? And Angela says it hurts too. Okay. We cut back to Adrian Veidt, Ozymandias. Now, every time you see Veidt, a year has gone by. So going back to episode 2, every time you see him, it's a year has transgressed. All right. Remember, he said he's been there already 4 years previous. All right. So then he's on trial. The clones are the prosecutor and the jury. The game warden is the judge. Did anybody notice the skull and bones behind the judge? If you watch the episode, there's a skull and bones behind the game warden's bench, the judge. Okay. All right. So then he's being charged for trying to leave. And then the game warden asks him, well, do you have anything you want to say in your defense? Adrian, in his defense, lets out a large fart and says the defense rests. The game warden brings in a bunch of pigs as an example of his jury of peers. And then they find him guilty. And then as they find him guilty, you see Adrian weeping. He sheds a tear. All right. Now we're back at Lady True's. Angela follows her to a locked room. Okay. Lady True tells Angela she has a secret plan to save humanity. All right. True inquires about how Angela came to Tulsa and inquires about Cal's car accident. Okay. True says total amnesia. It only happens in soap operas. There's no such thing as total amnesia. Angela says it happens. Angela asks, well, how do you know about Cal? True says, well, your grandfather told me everything about you. Okay. All right. So they had this back and forth. Like, I know what you know, but I'm going to play dumb, even though you know. All right. So we're doing that. We're doing that game. Wait. All right. Okay. So then True says he didn't think you take the pills all at once. Angela asks, whose nostalgia is your daughter tolerating? True says it's her own. True says she's my mother. Before she died, I harvested her memories and had her cloned. She reintegrates her memories every night via an IV drip. So her daughter is actually a clone version of her mother. Jeez. True says she's on the verge of completing her life's work. And is it wrong to have her parents with her? Angela asks, well, your dad here too? Lady True says he will be. My theory is that Adrian Veidt is her father. That's my theory. I could be wrong, but we'll see in these next 2 episodes. So then Angela asks, well, what does the clock do? Lady True says no. So then going back, we cut back to Blake. Blake is being held hostage in a Cyclops warehouse containing a containment field. Senator Kane says he didn't see the hooded justice angle. Kane says Cyclops is about restoring balance and that it's hard being a white man in America. So why not try being a blue one? So basically what they want to do is catch Dr. Manhattan in a containment field, suck him, drive his powers, and recreate the accident that transformed him so the 7th Cavalry can be Dr. Manhattans per se. All right. So then, during Lady True's press conference, she says nostalgia was a means for people to leave or to learn from the past and evolve. Instead, they became fixated on their most painful memories, choosing to experience the worst moments of their life over and over and over again. Because if unburdened, they would have no excuse to move gloriously into the future. Okay, so a lot of people that like to relive their traumas, they use it as a crutch because if they didn't have that trauma, they'd have to actually be accountable and actually be responsible and move forward. Okay, so a lot of people that hold on to trauma don't want to move forward. That's why they keep reliving the trauma over and over again. That's pretty sharp. Angela goes to the grandfather's room and asks what do you want from her? She breaks into the room to find an elephant. Now, there's two reasons why the elephant's in the room. First thing is the elephant is the obvious elephant in the room, a wink and a nod to who Dr. Manhattan really is. Okay, that's the first reason. Second reason why Lady True has the elephant, because elephants have the longest memories. They have the longest memories. So what she's doing is draining all the memories out of Angela into the elephant. Okay, like a backup hard drive, a living hard drive. Okay, then Angela, she breaks in the room, elephant. Okay, and then okay, so back at the orphanage, June comes for Angela and takes her home. June and Angela's dad fell out over him going to Vietnam to fight. June was not listed as next of kin. Angela says she wants to be a cop, and she shows her the Sister Night tape. Angela tells June she's never seen it because her dad said people in masks are scary. June says that's because somebody in a mask scared him when he was little. Angela asks, does she have a grandpa? June says nothing. She doesn't even acknowledge the question. June doesn't answer it, and then she asks, well, why Sister Night? Angela says because she looks like me. As Angela gets into the cab, June drops dead. Oh, we got to call her. Y'all call me when I'm cooking right now. Call her, what's happening? My man, what's up? What's going on? Talk to me, bro.
And when you touched on the elephant in the room,
yeah.
I was here rolling. I was like, yes. I was like, yes, on point, yes. and that episode was, and I'm about to watch it again because I didn't get to watch the whole thing.
Okay.
I only saw portions. I saw the part where she knocked out her husband and revealed who he was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I saw the part. I saw the part where they were taking the nostalgia out of her and pumping it in the elephant. And as soon as I saw the elephant in the room, I was like, oh, that's going to go back to either her grandfather or her husband. They're referring to when they're referring to the elephant in the room.
That's right. I'm just trying to catch up to you, bro, because you be catching the shit that I be missing.
Literally the organic backup computer right there.
Yeah.
That's literally what they're doing. But the part where she goes to her husband, I don't want to skip ahead of you, you know what I mean? But the part where she goes to her husband and reveals who he is.
Yeah.
Now, if folks been watching other like even the Maze Runner, a couple other shows out there where you see that they're referring to a blue liquid or even Avatar.
Mm-hmm.
Avatar, blue characters of blue. The Maze Runner, the liquid that they're pulling from the children is blue.
That's right.
There's a couple other shows out there where they refer to blue liquid, or the main character is a blue character, or you see the blue flame, like in DBZ now they have the blue god power.
Yeah.
That they have, the red and the blue god power.
Yeah.
Now they're coming out with what they call the black tail Saiyan. People, what they're telling you is this. The powers of what they call the universe, or the powers of the creation of life itself, and the genetics of the beings who have created many things here on this planet here, right? And or who are known to be creators of worlds. The genetics flows with they call the Negroid or Negro inhabitants of the planet. You got to understand that when you're going back to even, and you refer to Hiram Abiff. Hiram Abiff was also known to be, or said to be, a dark-skinned male, a mathematician, one of the most supreme scientists to ever have lived in the Masonic world, and they have his body buried somewhere, his coffin somewhere, some tomb somewhere that they still harvest memories from and the knowledge from to this very day.
Mm-hmm.
But that goes back to Abiff being also of Negroid stock. When they're showing the harvesting of the blue liquid and they're pumping it into other beings, it is what you call those who have recessive genetics. Now, it doesn't mean that, because you have some folks out there, quote unquote black people out there, that would say, well, it's because we're more superior. So no, it's going into also other darker view beings out there as well who have recessive genes, because you could be darker view and have recessive genes. There's a specific type of Negroid people on this planet that has this far superior genetics than others who have the genetics of geniuses, and who are more whose body is more genetically built to suppress all sorts of diseases, is more adaptable to the planet. So what you're seeing going on also in the breeding of dogs and other animals is you're going to see them use like the dark dog, the black dog, to breed with other types of features of dogs to create a specific now type of dog gene, dog look, because what the genetics of the darker dog is doing is making the other dogs who normally have recessive genes stronger also as well. So Dr. Manhattan is the strongest character in Watchmen, period. And we know in the movie they made him like a Caucasian character, but he still had like a Negro feature to him also as well. And when you follow his storyline, and so when they moved him over to Mars, and he's creating a whole new being at Mars, when you go back through the history of the Mayans and the Aztecs, you're going to see a lot of the stuff that Dr. Manhattan was doing is related to them.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Interference.
Into it. They refer to also the timekeeper as well. Now, remember, Dr. Manhattan, when he was on Mars in the movie, he was creating something that started off looking like a compass. Then it started off looking like a clock, then a compass, which a compass and a clock is pretty much the same if people don't understand the mathematics that's behind it, right? Because you can also turn a clock and use it as a compass as well. It depends on how you set it up. But the structure that Dr. Manhattan was building when he was on Mars in the movie, it started off looking like a clock, then it started off looking like a compass. Now, when I'm speaking of a compass, I'm not talking of the compass that you guys know of today, that little small round dial with the numbers coming around it. It's the old compasses, the ancient compasses that the ancestors used to use that looked like it was like a ball, like copper wires, gold wires made as a ball coming together, put together, and then you had the centerpiece. Now, when they refer to also the when they thought that the sign of the three on the forehead of the sign of the Cyclops, they separated the three fingers. The three fingers in the scenes that I was watching, they weren't together; they were separated. So when you separate those three fingers, you'll see that the finger to your what is it called, your wedding finger. Your wedding finger comes down right in between what the pointer and the thumb that will form the zero. So that will look like the third eye, or the blocking out also of the third eye also as well. Now, when you draw a cloth, right? You have 4 corners to a cloth. 4 corners to a cloth. When you turn when you lock in one of the lines to the left, you're going to have the number 4, and you're going to have 1, 2, 3 lines left. So 3 plus 4 it's going to give you 7. And these are the signs of like the 4 and the 7 fathom also as well, right? So it's also giving you also giving you the signs where they have like the third eye blocked out with the cross indicated, which is you could be the Coptic cross also as well in that. So yeah, like man, that whole series is it hasn't disappointed. The only part of disappoint was when they start putting justice going into the one eye, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not like that at all. But otherwise from that, it is very deep. It is very cryptid, and people have to really know certain portions of history, certain portions of the occult to really understand Watchmen, right? And a lot of what Watchmen is also talking about when they're referring to her being born in what was it, Vietnam?
Mm-hmm.
It was Vietnam. They're referring to also the Tartarian. It's the history of us and the Asiatic Tartarians on that side of the world. That's also what they're referring to.
That's
I
right.
won't go too much into that. It's something I'm researching, but so far I get that portion when they keep referring also back to over there to why her peoples also went over there as well, and to why her grandfather is with the Asian woman, right? Because when you study the Tartarian history, you're going to see a lot of our history and their history coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but yeah, bro, like that series it has not disappointed. It has not disappointed. I can't say that it has, except for that one little scene. But otherwise, from that, yeah, man, it got me.
My man, yeah. It's a crazy show. I ain't mad.
Yeah, most definitely. But I'm gonna let you get back to the show, bro.
My brother.
Back to the show.
My man.
All right.
Peace. Yeah, that was the one. That was Dark Man X right there. So yeah. The Targaryens, yeah, that's a whole nother show right in itself. So, yeah. All right. Carla, what's going on tonight?
What's going on, Superfly?
Mr.
How you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I've been checking out the Watchmen too, and that thing about what that white dude said, saying it's difficult for being a white man this day and age.
Yeah.
I was thinking to myself, why don't they try being a black man for 50 to 70 years and then get back to that statement? You know what the thing that they were doing with that transmission generator of theirs. That's what reminded me of an old Dow was saying, that it is perilous to chase the unlimited with the limited.
Okay.
And that was the thing about that reminded me of when I read the comic book where Adrian Veidt tried to trap Dr. Manhattan in the same technology that created and everything.
Yeah.
And he told him, even though you're the smartest human, you know more than a threat to me than the smartest termite. And it seems like these dudes still haven't learned their lesson yet.
Right. Yeah, that definitely.
How they gonna fool a being that can see the
past, present, and future? Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Good catch. Definitely.
That's the thing that tripped me out about the Cyclops, and they talked about mesmerism, and that reminded me of the history that I read about Frank Mesmer.
Mm-hmm.
I knew mesmerism is named after.
Right.
Where he said that the way to deal with folks, to hypnotize us through their low animal nature, through animal magnetism.
Yep.
And the way that they was using that technology to make black folks attack each other, that's going to remind me of that low dimensional rituals that they use to make black folks go crazy on the Popeye's chicken. But it's similar before they black folks had the riots in the 1990s due to the Rodney King verdict. That was another lower dimensional mesmeric ritual that they did too, along the same similar lower vibration.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's crazy.
So when you look at it, you also look at the Trayvon Martin thing. They still pushing that lower vibrational thing when you talk about the veto ban and then why you niggas still worried about it. And I remember I put a comment in the box saying that any content creator that's still concerned about that Trayvon Martin mess need to have their head examined psychiatric wise.
I agree.
You know, because I remember I put a certain Instagram post to an LAR movement through my Facebook, Instagram account, talked about, you know, what David Kerr talked about, how can we diagnose the dysfunction of black women, which has been featured in the Watchmen a few times. The way she tried to get smart with Blake, knowing Blake's track record of dealing with bad guys, and acting like she don't know what's going on, acting stupid. So I looked at the two diagnoses of the dysfunctional black female, and I came up with the two, like axis one, dissonant matriarchal disorder, and then the second one, dissociative hypergamy disorder.
Gotcha. Yeah, it all makes sense.
But when you look at the way that they try to emasculate true black man or true black masculinity in that show Watchmen, another shows on propaganda, I'm just thinking, man, there's something about us being truly manly and masculine black men that they're really scared of for some reason. Something divine about it. That's why I laugh at these folks, man, thinking that they can fool the higher deities of the universe. But every time they try to do that, they get back to the drawing board like the caveman. You know, like you said to the people on the panel back in the day, try again. No, you're not coming good enough. Try again.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. You make sense. Yeah.
But see, the thing about that third down, the mesmer book that they talked about in the last episode, here's the thing. The only way that lower dimensional mess cannot mess with you is if your third eye is open. And that's where a lot of some of these messed up niggas and bitches don't get. If your third eye is open and your solar plexus is open, then that stuff cannot mess with you.
Yeah, you're right. All right, OG. Well, I thank you for calling in tonight, bro.
All right, bro. You take it easy, man, and keep your frequency vibration up, brother.
Yes, sir. I will. Thank you. All right. Calls are coming in fast and furious. Right on. Okay. So getting back into the episode. So June drops dead. So now we're back at Lady True's. Angela enters a room and plays the phone recordings from everybody that calls Dr. Manhattan. Okay, because they call Manhattan booths. True tells Angela ignores people's prayers and that he's not on Mars. He's in Tulsa impersonating a human. True tells Angela Will put the idea in her head. True says Will came to her because he needed her resources to stop the 7th Cavalry from capturing Dr. Manhattan and destroying him and then becoming him. Okay? Angela doesn't believe her. True says, you didn't ask me who he is. Angela is leaving and go home. Oh, wait. Oh, crap. Hold up. I can't even read my notes on this one. Hold up. Angela's leaving. Oh, okay. She rams Red Scare's car outside of the compound. All right. And then goes home while the 7th Cavalry is staking out her home. Here's the whole coup de grace. Now, Calvin is sleeping on the couch and he's reading a book. The book he was holding is called For Whom the Bell Tolls. And if you read that book, you know how deep that book is. All right. Angela tells Cal he's the best friend she ever had. She loves him and that it's time to come out of the tunnel. She grabs a hammer Of course, Cal's like, what's the hammer for? Because this nigga really don't know who the fuck he is. It's so much symbolism. Even don't even get into the whole, take out the Dr. Manhattan part of it. The symbolism of the black woman telling the black man, I need you to come out of that tunnel. I need you to be the God that I know that's in you. This is such a deep scene. Okay. My God. Okay, so then Angela tells Cal they talked about this before, and that there was no accident. It was a lie. Okay, so they could be together. So Calvin thinks she's on drugs and not herself. Angela says, no, you're not being yourself. And literally in 4 minutes, this scene just erases episode 6, the whole gay shit with Will. I don't even care about that shit anymore, okay? Angela calls him John. Then she hits him in the head with the hammer. Hold up. Now, this is why we call it Hiram Abiff. Hiram Abiff was a master mason. It was him, Solomon, and King Tyr, the three of the elite master masons. Hiram Abiff had 3 underlings under him. They killed Hiram Abiff with a hammer because he wouldn't divulge the secrets. When you move up to the 3rd degree in masonry, they tell you the Hiram Abiff story. Okay, you don't learn about that to the 3rd degree. They mention it roughly in the Bible here and there, and even in the 2nd degree, they give you a glimpse of it. But once you cross the 3rd degree, you become a master mason. At that point, you can run your own lodge. This is why I've always said, people, if you're going to join a lodge, do not move past the 3rd degree, because once you do that, that's when you become beholden to your brothers. 3rd degree, you can run your own lodge. You good. You're golden. Okay, you're good to go. But once you start moving up in the ranks, that's when it all goes left. All right, so they killed him. He was missing for 7 days. Solomon said, "Yo, where's the body? I ain't seen my guy in 7 days." The three ruffians. They said, "Oh, we found him." Whatever the case may be. They changed the passwords. King Tyr, Solomon, and Hiram had an agreement. If that any one of them died, they would no longer keep pursuing the craft. They would just say, you know what, no more secrets. We would just shut it down. Okay, so this is how important the whole Hiram Abiff thing is. Okay, so now Angela knocks him out, hits him over the head with the hammer, and she's beating him in the head with the hammer. She pulls out his transformation ring. This is the device that allows him to become a human. The transformation ring is also the sign for hydrogen. Okay. So then as she pulls out the ring, you see the blue glow in her face. All right. And then she says, "Hey, baby, we're in fucking trouble." End. Holy shit. Now, there's 3 clues they gave us as to how we should have known that Cal was Dr. Manhattan. The first obvious one in this last episode, he was wearing a blue shirt, right? And he's wearing blue pants. He's wearing some blue shit. He's always wearing blue in this last episode. That was the first clue. Second clue was the conversation he had in episode 3 with Topher. Remember Topher, the little boy, was like, "Yo, what's after death?" or what's, and he's like, there's nothing after that. There's nothing. And we were like, well, why would he tell a little kid that? That was the second clue. The third clue that I think everybody kind of missed, and even myself, Blake has a dildo in the shape of Dr. Manhattan. It's fucking huge. She calls it Excalibur. All right. And you're like, well, that don't mean shit. Okay, well, let's break down the word Excalibur. Cal-A-bar. Cal-A-bar. It was him the whole time. We just didn't catch the clues. Those are your 3 clues as to he was the man. Magnificent episode. Beautifully written. This is hands down the best written show on TV. I don't give a fuck what show you put in front of me. This show blows it out the water. Okay. you would have to know some things in certain circles to understand what the fuck they're talking about, like my man Darkman X said. So that was episode 7. We got 2 more episodes left before the season ends. The comment that fell on the farmer's property when Lady True had bought it from the couple, I'm going to assume that was Adrian coming back to Earth. I'm going to assume his punishment is they kick him out of Europa, bring him back to Earth, and some way, somehow, Lady True gets a hold of him. Okay, we got a call. All right. Caller, what's going on?
It's hard, man. What's up, Swine?
Talk to me, brother. Talk to me.
Bro, I got to just give you a round of applause. So, but it was just like, that's what I called you last night, and that's what I was going to tell you. Like, damn. Like, and then, too, okay, this was what he said everything about killing Dr. Manhattan and then becoming Dr. Manhattan. Like, that to me, my third eye was just like being like, this nigga's definitely a nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? Talking about, like, black people is metaphor. Like, how, just go back to history, how white people have stolen our legacy and called it their own. Like, you know what I mean? And it was just like, that hit on the head. But my question to you is, what's up with the one little kid? Okay, remember after the funeral, like, okay, the white parents, the grandparents came and tried to see the kids, and she paid them off, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then remember, she go in and she talks to 2 little kids, but then she go up and she talks to the one kid, and like, remember, he's sitting there and he's building some shit, like he's building a bridge or whatever, but he's doing that shit, like levitating that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? You remember that?
Yeah. Definitely.
So I'm like, my whole thing is, who is that little boy? Like, is that little boy Dr. Manhattan, son? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's up with him? Because I feel like that little boy got some kind of connection to Dr. Manhattan, too.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see it all play out in these next 2 episodes. So I'm stoked for it, man. I definitely want to see the interaction between Manhattan and Angela and how that, you know, because like we said, he can see past, present, and future all at the same time. So when he told her, you know, I love you, she was like, well, you don't even know me. I'm like, it makes sense because he can see everything. Like he's seen it. He's already seen himself with this woman. So to him, obviously he's already, you know, there. So this was probably the best episode so far this entire show.
It was just like, it was written perfectly. But at the end of the day, like you said, like, if you're not aware of certain things, shit was flying past people's eyes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was talking to one of my homeboys, and he woke too. We was talking about that shit. And I kind of broke it down like that, and he was like, man, I see what you're saying, just because it was just, it's always been veiled in allegory. Like, so much. But it was like, they're like, look, man, like, we can't just come out and say this shit to you, but here you go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, pick through the meat and the balls, but yo, this shit is for you, black people, you black men.
Yeah.
Wake the hell up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to destroy you.
Yeah, you're right.
Before I go say this, I think Dr. Manhattan might be like true father too, though.
You know, I thought about it. Yeah, I've seen some theories post that, and I'm just like, man, that I wouldn't want it to be that way. I would hope it's Adrian that's her father. I would hope so. But we'll see. We'll see.
But ain't Adrian like with the 7th Cavalry though?
No, remember now, the 7th Cavalry is just a means to an end. The whole thing with Adrian, now he's the one that got Redford into the office. And if it was,
that's what I'm saying, like that video though.
Right, but we don't know that. But that's the thing. The video, remember, it was like 3 hours long, and they only gave us like the first 5 minutes of the preface of the video, what his plan was. Because technically, he's the reason why black folks are getting reparations in that state to begin with. Because he put the man in charge in the seat. You know?
Yeah, that's true. And then too, like, so I was talking about last week after something being so terrible. I'm kind of, once it's finished, I'm gonna go back. But I feel like with everything with that show, that American Hero story, that anytime they show that shit during the show, that little clip or segment of this show that they're showing has huge bearing and ramifications.
Yeah.
It was like, even though they hit us hard with the gay shit, like,
Yeah.
But here go like the true story, and I'm like, fuck me up. And I'm like, damn, they wrote that good shit. Like, ain't no way this shit is written. Like, damn. You know, you got mad, but it's like, you get it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'll let you get back to it, man.
My man, I appreciate it.
For sure. Yeah, oh yeah. I don't know, man. I might call in after the Irishman too, though. I don't want to ruin that.
It's all good. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, I'm about to watch Watchmen again too, though.
Okay.
Just to get another view. I'll let you go back to it, man.
All right, my man.
All right, have a good night.
Yes, sir. Yo, so my final Watchmen rant. I just want people to understand that I've always said before, there is a faction of elites that want us to take our rightful place. For those that like to bark on the aesthetic of what the black woman has become, it shouldn't take white people to write into a show to have the black woman raise the black man up to a perpendicular level. Okay, it shouldn't have to take white people to show this. But if this episode didn't speak to you as a melanated person, I don't know what to tell you. Then you are spiritually dead. This was a beautifully written episode, and got another caller. Y'all is really flaming my ass tonight with these calls. What's happening?
What's happening on Slide?
Talk to me, man. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, man. I had to call in, man. I was gonna say, bro, you just put me up on game with that Excalibur breakdown, man. I had no idea it meant that. So shout out to you, Darkman X, Edward. Shout out to y'all, man, and whoever just called. I didn't catch who just called. Shout out to them. You just threw me for a loop. Now let me ask you this, and I know it's gonna get sidetracked. As far as the Excalibur thing go, who is the lady of the lake that holds Excalibur? Who is she, and what does she represent? And also, what does the Rock represent that when they try to pull Excalibur out of the Rock? Or am I getting my swords mixed up?
Man, you would ask me some shit like that, would you?
My bad. My bad. I always remember the lady of the lake holding Excalibur, but they never said who she was and what she represented.
You know what? I just remember the movies, man, and he tossed it into the lake King Arthur tossed it into the lake for safekeeping. Remember, one movie I remember, she was the keeper of the secrets, but that's like loosely Masonic reference, man. I would have to go back and really dive into that. That's a deep ass question, bro. I would really have to dive deep into that shit.
My bad, fam. When you brought the Excalibur, I said, all right, man, I gotta ask this question. The hell with this. I'm calling in. Watch. I'm gonna ask this question. I gotta know.
Hey, you got me on that one. I gotta go back and do homework on that one.
Yeah, man. Please do, man. Break that down for me, man. That's only helps me get a better understanding of the good. You know what I mean?
For sure. What else is on your mind tonight?
No, man, that was it, man. I just wanted to call in on that part, man, and just, man, keep doing what you're doing, man. I ain't got much. That was my whole thing.
Of course. I'm gonna keep doing that. I appreciate you, bro.
All right, for sure.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Damn, that was a good fucking question. He got me on that one. I gotta do homework. Yeah. So, beautifully written episode. Shout out to Damon Lindelof. And then the white folk, they write this shit because they tell you every time who you are and what you need to do. And they tell you. So I don't know what to say at this point. All right. So with that being said, let's move on to our first movie review. This one's been catching a lot of heat. There's a lot of press, whether negative or positive, however you view it. The Irishman. I like this movie. Now, even though I did read Frank Sheehan's book years ago, there's a lot of discrepancies between his book, this movie, and then even what actually happened as far as mob shit. So now look, at the end of the day, we don't know who killed Hoffa. The FBI knows who killed Hoffa. Frank Sheehan did not kill Hoffa. All right. And then, the old story goes, Hoffa was buried at the end of Giant Stadium somewhere, right? Okay, so let's get into it. The Irishman. This is basically like the coming to America of Italian mobster movies. It's got every fucking body in this motherfucker, right? Joe Pesci, you got Harvey Keitel, you had Ray Romano playing Will Buffalino, Al Pacino as Hoffa. I was just happy to see these guys on the screen together one more time, because you know they're getting older and they can't move like they used to. So I love the Goodfellas. I love Casino. Anytime you see De Niro and Pesci, you throw Pacino in the mix, it's a fucking done deal for me. So I enjoyed this movie, even though it's 3 hours long. I couldn't see all the hate behind it. I enjoyed it, even though historically there's a lot of discrepancies between Frank's book, and then even some stuff that even the Iceman, Richard Cochling, he even mentioned there's some things that didn't add up. So let's get into it. So then we have Russell and Frank. They're driving out to a wedding. There's a flashback when Frank and Russell first meet. Frank's a delivery driver and first meets Russell at the gas station. Frank gets an offer to deliver steak for a mob guy. Okay. Frank gets a ghost empty load because he's delivering steaks to the mob guy. So the company he worked for gave him an empty load, right? So then Frank consults with an attorney. That attorney is Ray Romano, playing William Buffalino, to sue for termination for stealing. Frank goes to trial, gets his case dismissed. Frank meets Russell, who's Buffalino's cousin. All right, Frank and Russell again break bread. And when I mean break bread, they actually broke bread. They were having bread with wine. Okay, so that's a biblical reference, bread with wine. And then Frank explains to Russell how he's able to speak Italian because Frank was in the First World War. Okay. Frank takes jobs for Russell and Angela Bruno. Russell's wife is mob royalty. Russell used a drapery store as a front. Frank is given a job to collect money for a debt. Russell and Carrie baptized Frank's daughter Dolores. Whispers wants Frank to firebomb a Jewish storefront called the Cadillac Mining Company. But before he could do it, Frank does his recon on the place. Before Frank firebombs the store, Angelo requests a meeting with him and Russell. Angelo asks, "Well, for who you the bombing the storefront for?" Frank says, "Whispers." Angelo tells Frank he's the other owner of the Cadillac Mining Company. Angelo tells Frank Whispers won't need his money back. Angelo tells Frank to thank Russell that he didn't let the Jewish mob have him. Now, you know, everyone talks about the Italian mob, but the Jewish mafia, just as tough, money's just as long, just as ruthless. You don't see a lot of movies on the Jewish mafia like that. I wonder why. Frank offers to kill Whispers, and he does as a favor for Angelo let him slide. Frank becomes a hitman. Russell and Carrie can't have kids. Frank's oldest daughter, Dolores, is always looking at Russell funny. She has this weird look. She's always looking at her dad real funny, and she looks at Russell real funny. And you know, her dad's always like, she's a kid, she's weird, you know, whatever. And Russell's like, you know, she's a kid. I don't trip off that stuff. Okay. Okay. So then Russell, she looks at Russell. Russell tells Frank, the union guy is having problems. Now this is where it gets into the union, the Teamsters. This is where this goes into Casino, because we all know Teamster money was used to help build Vegas, right? And they all the exploits out, and you know, this is where you would cue in Casino at this point. Okay, so then Russell wants Frank in Chicago to meet with Jimmy Hoffa, played by Al Pacino. Frank has to sign up cab drivers for Hoffa's union instead of the competition. So what they do is they dump the competitors' cabs into Lake Michigan and firebomb the rest. Frank meets with Jimmy. Peggy takes a liking to Jimmy, and they move to Chicago. Okay. Alan Dorfman, runs the insurance company that handles the loans that Hoffa gave out from the Teamsters pension fund. Sam Giancana was a client of Hoffa's. Kennedy gets elected, makes Bobby attorney general. Bobby Kennedy went after the Hoffa and the Teamsters and the mobsters that helped put Kennedy in office. Old man Kennedy, John's daddy, the guy, he actually got mob money to help run his bootlegging liquor stuff. He got money from the mob to help him do that. Years down the road, as a favor, they conspired to get, John in the president's seat. So what ended up happening once they did that, Bobby went ape shit and went after the mob. This is why the FBI with Sam Giancana went after Bobby Kennedy, and then the CIA went after John Kennedy. So you have two warring factions. CIA, FBI don't like each other. They don't get along. They really don't get along. And as repayment for each other, they killed each other's assets. It happens all the time. All right. So, okay, then Frank meets with Jimmy, runs an insurance company. Okay, Kennedy gets elected. Bobby makes Bobby attorney general. Bobby Kennedy went after the mob. Peggy gets ice skates from Russell and gives him. So that the scene where Peggy gets ice skates from Russell for Christmas, and she's like, she's real funky with the attitude. You know what I mean? Hoffa's team made Johnny Ulrich's son general organizer and paid him $36,000, and he sells insurance to his father's uncles. This is what got Hoffa in trouble. This is why Hoffa's mad at his team. All right. Russell and the old timers want Fidel Castro out of Cuba. Frank drives a truck to Baltimore to pick up weapons from the military and drops the truck off in Florida. Castro survives the coup. Remember back in the 60s, they tried to get Castro out of there with the military coup, and it didn't work. Okay. So then the old timers try to convince John Kennedy's dad to talk. Jack, I'm sorry. The old timers try to convince Jack Kennedy to talk to John to talk Bobby to lay off of Jimmy. Okay. Frank goes to Vegas with Jimmy for a Teamsters rally. Hoffa and Frank have a discussion about Fritz. Tony Pro, a former capo, becomes union leader in Jersey. Jimmy wants Frank to run for union president of Local 326. Frank accepts. Jimmy comes under fire for his wife owning a trucking company. During testimony, there's an assassination attempt on Jimmy Hoffa. His son jumps in. Buffalino and staff are picking potential jurors to pay off during his trial. This is this is all during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay, so one of Hoffa's guys, Big Eddie, is wearing a wire for the feds. The feds have a pic of a state trooper being paid off. Kennedy's assassination takes place. They got fed up with him. Okay, so then Jimmy doesn't allow his flag to be flown at half-mast over the Teamsters building. When Hoffa asked, "How do you feel about John being killed?" or in reference to his brother, he said his brother's just an attorney now, so that he already knew his protection was gone. As far as Bobby couldn't run. He couldn't run to his big brother for help, because remember they whacked him after that. Okay, Hoffa is convicted of tampering and sent to federal prison. Fritz is cavorting with Tony Poe. Dorfman is holding up loans that Fitz approved. Russell wants Frank to light a fire under Fritz. Tony Poe was arrested by the feds for extortion for 7 years and sent to the same prison as Jimmy. Tony wants Jimmy to get back his $1.2 million he lost, but Jimmy still has his $1.5 million, his money. Jimmy explains to Tony that Tony was convicted of extortion. Jimmy was convicted of fraud. The difference is Jimmy never threatened anybody. Tony attacks Jimmy in prison. Crazy Joe orders a hit on the Teamsters president. Crazy Joe offers Russell. Frank diffuses. Russell wants Joe dead. Frank goes to Joe's spot to kill Joe. Frank guns him down. Now, what happened was Joe disrespected Russell. Russell was wearing a pin that said the Italian American Civil Rights League. And he's like, "Oh, what is this? What is that?" Right? That's what sparked it all off. Peggy's daughter looks at her dad while the news of Joe's death is being reported. So every time something happens in the news with a murder, Peggy's looking at her dad like this. Okay. All right. Jimmy gets a presidential pardon after giving $500K to Nixon's reelection committee. Okay. They report the eavesdropping of Democratic National Convention by a guy named McCord. Jimmy wants back in the Union presidency, but has to make peace with Tony Pro. Tony Pro is the guy that he got in a fight with in prison. They're out there. Everybody's free now. Okay. Jimmy wants Tony to endorse him. Tony wants an apology for the ethics slur that he used to him in prison. Jimmy Hoffa is racially insensitive. He said, "You people." And Tony was like, "What do you mean, you people?" Okay. So all Hoffa had to do was just say, "I'm sorry." He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. He got mad because Tony, they're in Florida. So Frank and Hoffa wearing suits because it's a meeting. Tony shows up wearing an open shirt and shorts. It's Florida and it's hot. So it was a funny back and forth. All right. What's his name? Tony threatens to kill Jimmy's granddaughter and talks break down. Jimmy wants Tony clipped. Permission is denied. Fitz wants his son to take Dave Johnson's spot at the local 299. Dave is Jimmy's friend. Fitz has Dave's yacht blown up as a message. Then in return, Jimmy has Fitz's car blown up. Fitz in return fires Jimmy's wife. Tony Salerno wants Jimmy off the campaign trail. Jimmy rebuffs Tony's request. Tony Salerno is a big dog. Okay. Tony Salerno is a big dog. When Tony says something, you do it. Okay. At Frank's dinner, Tony tells Russell Jimmy threatens to snitch, and he's been stopping certain loans from going through Russell. Russell asks Jimmy, "What's the issue?" Russell tells Jimmy to step down, and he can still run it. They say, "Yo, you can have your union spot back. You just can't be in the spotlight. You can't be in the forefront. We need you in the back." Jimmy doesn't want to be in the back. Jimmy wants to be out there in the front, leading the charge. Okay. Okay. And then Jimmy rebuffs. Tony Salerno, Tony Pro, and Russell have a powwow. And Peggy notices how they're looking at Jimmy. Because Peggy likes Jimmy. She's taking a liking to Jimmy. Okay. Russell gives Frank an Irish heritage ring. Russell tells Frank that Jimmy's out and he has no choice. Russell tells Frank if they can whack a president, they can whack a president of a union. So when Russell gives Frank the ring, Russell tells him, "You're my boy now. Nobody can fuck with you. He's officially made. No one can touch this guy." Okay. It was a big deal. All right. So then Frank tells Jimmy Tony meant what he says. Jimmy wants rebuffs again their proposition and that they wouldn't dare. Jimmy doesn't think they would ever whack him. Jimmy's like, they wouldn't dare touch me. Jimmy says they have evidence of something happens to him. So he played that card. If something happens to him, tapes and stuff would get leaked out. You can't do that. Okay, that's just not common sense. Frank calls Jimmy and tells him after the wedding, they hope they can sit down and straighten it out. Jimmy says he's not going to the wedding. Jimmy wants to meet at the lake with Tony Pro. Jimmy hangs up on Frank. Frank calls Jimmy again, and then he rethinks his decision about meeting with Tony Pro. Okay. Russell tells Frank there's a change of plans and that that he won't be there in time for the meeting and that they did all they could for him. Russell tells Frank, "Don't go." Russell tells Frank he's flying into Detroit. Russell tells Frank either way, he's going. Frank drives to a house where the hitmen are already waiting for Jimmy's son. They drive to meet with Jimmy, and they convince Jimmy to come back to the house with them. Okay. So they go to pick Jimmy up. Jimmy's like, oh, hey, Frank, what are you doing here? Hey, man, I just, whatever. And Frank knows, it's the end for Jimmy. Right. Okay. Jimmy walks in, sees the house is empty. As he turns, he tells Frank, "Let's get out of here." Frank turns and shoots Jimmy in the back of the head and then leaves to fly back in time for the wedding. Frank flies back home to the news of Hoffa's disappearance, and Peggy asks Frank, why hasn't he called Joe's wife? Okay, because everyone's playing dumb. And Peggy's like, well, why haven't you not called his wife? Because at this point, everybody's close. They're all family at this point. They're all close. Frank calls Joe's wife. Joe's wife she's hysterical. She's and Frank's like, hey, hey, you need anything, that type of shit. Hoffa's body is put into a crematorium. Everybody gets indicted. Everybody pleads the fifth. Tony goes back to prison for the murder of Tony Three Fingers. Russell has Frank whack Sal Briggs because he went to the Fed building without telling anybody, but Sal did. That person didn't let anybody know, so that was a bad hit. When they killed Sal Briggs was the guy with the glasses, kind of a tall, lanky guy. He looked soft, but he was a killer. So that was a bad hit when they killed him. That was a mistake. Okay. Russell got pinched for telling Jimmy the Weasel to strangle Jack Nafee over 25 grand, but Jimmy the Weasel was wearing a wire. A conspiracy to kill a witness. Frank got 18 years for arson. They're all in the same federal prison. Russell says he didn't want things with Jimmy to go that far. Russell went to the church, to the prison hospital, and then he dies. Frank gets out in time for his wife's funeral. She died of lung cancer. Frank goes to see Peggy at her banking job. She refuses to see him. Frank goes to see Dolores. Dolores tells him he had no idea what it was like for them growing up. They couldn't go to him with problems because of the terrible things he would do. There's one episode early in the movie when Dolores, I believe, she's pushed by a store owner, and then Frank went to go confront the guy, beat the guy up pretty bad in front of Dolores, and she was like, "Oh, I can't tell Dad this shit because this will happen." All right. Frank later goes to pick out his casket. There's a cameo by Action Bronson. Action Bronson is the casket guy. He's a seller. He sells the caskets. Anybody knows who Action Bronson is? He sounds like Ghostface. He's like a white version of Ghostface. He sounds dead on Ghostface. Like you almost couldn't tell the two apart when they're rapping side by side. All right. Frank chooses his burial because it's final, but not a final. But no, not a final. Feds are talking to Frank. They want to know what happened to Hoffa. He refuses to answer. Now the pastor asks Frank, does he have any remorse? Frank says no. Frank shows the nurse family pics and the pic of Jimmy Hoffa. Frank talks with the pastor before the pastor leaves. He tells him to leave the door cracked open. End. That was a 3-hour movie. These notes do not reflect a 3-hour movie. I like the movie. If you're into mob movies, you should want to watch this. I don't know what else to tell you, period, point blank. So yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna take a quick break and I'm gonna come back with my second movie review. And if we have time for a third one, I'll do that too. All right. So I'll be back in about 2 and 2. All right, cool. You always tune me out. Yeah. Uh-huh. it was a beautifully written episode. I gotta go back and watch it just because. Yeah. No. Oh shit. That's funny. That is funny. I mean, yeah, you have to. Like if yeah. 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 Yeah, I can't remember a bad Scorsese film. Like, he doesn't make bad movies, you know. Even yeah. Yeah. More than likely, they're a comic book movie fan, and their feelings are hurt, and they're mad. Yeah, yeah, basically. There it is. There. Mm-hmm. Okay, Boomer. I know, right? Ah, shit. Of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what? Now let's go ahead and go right back into it. I'm feeling good. Okay. Cool. Uh, yeah. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Because I thought about you. No, I thought about you this last week. I'm like, you know what? Rod's not gonna make me feel bad for not having enough ammo in the clips. So I got plenty ammo. Yeah, I'm prepared. I was like, not today, not this week. Now next week, I can't speak on that. I don't know what this is, I know, yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. And you're back with another episode of the Morning Star Show featuring Super Slot 75. I am your humble and gracious host, Super Slot 75. First, I want to give a shout out to Rod on the boards, our producer, aka Boss Cindy. You can always visit us on www.onthewakeupradio.com. We're always on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, and now iHeartRadio for the replays. The call-in number is always 646-547-1305. You can find me on YouTube under Super Slot 75 or the backup channel, Heavily Flawed Individual. Merchandise is always available at teespring.com/Super Slot 75. Also, please feel free to donate any amounts, which will always go to website and airtime. It's a labor of love, but we still live in a costly world. If you appreciate the free content, please help us keep the message uncensored and free. You can always donate through PayPal at onthewakeupradio@gmail.com. Also, go follow, subscribe on the YouTube, on the Wake Up Radio, the YouTube channel. Yes, there's a YouTube channel on the Wake Up Radio. Like, we're at like 950 subs. I need to get us to 50 more, at least get us to 1,000. So I can live stream from there and ruin everybody's movies like I always do. All right, so let's get back into this. First things first, let me shout out my fellow Inquisitor, Truth Teller. Thank you, bro. I appreciate the super chat, as always. Now, I have 3 movies I can play with for the rest of the next 45 minutes. These movie choices are The Green Inferno, The Belko Experiment, and Escape from New York. I kind of want to save Escape from New York for next week because it's a very, very good, a lot of good stuff in it. I don't want to kind of just run through that. So I'm going to take Escape from New York off the list tonight. So that leaves us with The Green Inferno and The Belko Experiment. I think I'm going to go ahead and go with The Belko Experiment. And if we got enough time, I'll catch The Green Inferno. If not, then we'll save it for next week. All right, so Belko Experiment. I did not go see this at the movies. I knew about it. I heard about it, but I did not go see it. So, torture porn, basically. A lot of people getting killed. So, here we go. Bogota, Colombia. Employees are driving to the Belko building All of the guards have been replaced with new ones. Employees walk into the building and head to their offices. All actions are being monitored by suits on close monitored TVs. There's a new hire named Danny. She has to be implemented with a tracer in case of kidnappings. Belco is a nonprofit that helps American companies facilitate the hiring of American employees for Latin countries. Mike asks, "Where is everybody?" And the employee tells them they sent the locals home. He notices the guards are going into a hangar. Okay. A voice on the intercom says there's 80 employees and that most of them will be dead in 8 hours. First task is to murder 2 employees in the next 30 minutes. Doesn't matter who's chosen or the method used. So the phone lines are dead. Employees attempt to evacuate, and the building is sealed in. The employees begin to panic. Some employees head to the roof. The COO explains it's possibly a hoax and to remain calm. Now, the funny thing is the COO has a special forces background. That's going to be key. All right. Mike tells the COO he doesn't think it's a hoax. The roof employees try flagging a security guard. One of the employees is shot in the head, and the shot rings out, and 2 more employees are killed. The COO says it's not a bullet wound. They discovered it's the tracer tags implemented in their heads. That's why the Colombian nationals were sent home, because they weren't chipped. Mike attempts to remove his chip via a box cutter. The intercom voice gives Mike 10 seconds to drop the box cutter or they will activate his device. Leandra is his woman, is being pursued by an obsessed coworker. That's Wendell. Mike's head is being stitched up. 2 employees discover more CCTV cameras. The COO, Barry, asks Evan, the security guard, for the keys to the armory. Evan won't give the keys to Mike. Or I'm sorry, his name is won't give the keys to Barry. Okay. The intercom voice tells them they're not allowed to dismantle any more cameras or remove tracer tags, for they will not be given a countdown. There are 76 employees left. The intercom voice says 30 employees have to die in 2 hours. If not, 60 employees will be killed. Employees raid the kitchen looking for weapons. One employee pulls the fire alarm thinking it will bring help, but it's a self-enclosed system. One of the maintenance employees gets his head bashed in and dies. He was played by Michael Rooker. Ami, the one who bashed in his coworker's head, spots Danny, the new recruit, and attempts to kill her, but then is impaled on the steel screws as Danny pushes them both back against the wall. Barry, the COO, wants to discuss all options. Mike is against it. He says it's not going to stop. They won't let anyone live to tell about it. One employee mentions Barry's special forces background. The employees decide to go to the roof to try to raise banners to signal for help. Barry tries to sway Terry and to join his side and think about survival and be bold, and this isn't the time for timidity. Mike and Leandra have an argument about life and death philosophies. Wendell, Barry, and Terry blowtorch their way into the weapons cache. Evan turns off the torch. The security guard guy. Wendell approaches with Evan. Evan draws down his weapon on Wendell. Mike talks Evan down. Then Mike shoots the hose off the blowtorch. Barry tells Mike that was a stupid fucking move, and you're gonna need help. Mike warns the others to watch out for Wendell, Barry, and Terry. Leandra thinks Mike is stupid because he's trying to be rational, and that you don't antagonize certain types of people. Leandra tells Mike it's human nature and it's every man for themselves. Some employees begin emptying water jugs thinking it's in the water. One employee writes a farewell letter. The employees are being shot while be trying to hang the banner from the guards down below. The intercom voice tells the people on the explosion to the intercom voice tells the people on the roof to stop or their explosives will go off. Okay. Leandra tells Mike, you can't save everyone. Mike begins to think about the location of the building. They have had tags in their heads for a year. He thinks they've been there just for this sole experiment. Leandra dismisses his theory. Norris, Terry, and Wendell ambush Mike with an fire extinguisher, knocking him unconscious. Wendell stabs Evan in the chest. Wendell takes the keys as Evan is laying dying in the staircase, and they kidnap Leandra. Okay. Barry rations out a few weapons, but keeps the majority of the ammo to himself to make the hard choices. All right. The rest of the employees are rounded up, and including Mike and Mike in the lobby. So Barry separates the two. He says, those with children under the age of 11 to one side of the wall, and then he said those older 60 and older to the other side of the wall, and then everybody in the middle gets one in the head. Okay. So Barry tells Terry not to undermine him again. Barry says this is the way, we need order. Random employees are selected. An older man refuses to go and is gunned down. Another woman is gunned down after the same. Who does he think he is to play God? Barry then goes down the line, shooting people in the back of the head. Mike tries to talk to Barry and says, hey, let me go. Give me your gun. Terry flips and tells Barry, hey, Mike tried to talk to me into giving me his gun. Barry tells Terry, well, shoot him. Before he could pull the trigger, the new hire, Danny, still in the basement, hits the lights, and everybody scrambles for the stairs while the men begin to fire indiscriminately. And one of the gunmen is killed by an employee being stabbed in the chest. Danny escapes into the elevator shaft. Barry tells Wendell to take out as many as possible. The intercom voice says 28 people are dead, and they have 2 minutes remaining. Barry, Terry, and Wendell are on the hunt. Leandra encounters Terry and gets the drop on him, then hesitates. The intercom voice says they've come up short, and 31 additional people must be killed. So then Terry's device goes off in his head, and then a succession of heads being exploded. Heads just going off at this point. Intercom voice says the final stage is whomever has the most kills gets to leave the facility. Barry has 11. Wendell has 7. Vincent has 1. Danny has 1. Wendell butchers 3 people with a butcher knife. Vincent shoots a Muslim woman in the head. Jeez. Barry is then propositioned by a female employee, but he snaps her neck and says, don't want to waste a bullet. Barry walks in an elevator where Danny and the Mexican guy are hiding on top of it in the shaft. Barry begins to shoot at the top of the elevator. Danny hops off in between the elevator shaft spaces while the Mexican guy gets crushed as the elevator goes to the top of the building. Barry becomes stuck as a result. Leandra runs across 2 employees who are pulling the bombs out of the victims who were shot to use the bombs to blow a hole in the wall to freedom. Leandra gets on the intercom and says she's on the first floor. Leandra she tells Mike, I'm on the first floor, come get me. Wendell comes in first. Tyson and Leandra get into a shootout with Wendell. Wendell is shot in the leg but kills the 2 other employees with Leandra. Leandra uses a table for cover and pushes the table on top of Wendell, then begins to hack him in the face with an axe. Mike finds Leandra. Danny climbs out of the elevator shaft. Barry frees himself from the elevator. Vincent is making Molotov cocktails. Okay. Mike takes the bombs, and then Vincent begins launching the cocktails at Mike and Leandra. And they run into the stairwell where Barry begins to shoot at them. So Barry's chasing them while he's shooting at them. Vincent is shot, and so is Leandra. Danny is shot in the head, getting off the elevator by Barry. Leandra dies from her gunshot wound. Barry and Mike engage in a fist fight. Mike beats Barry in the head with a tape dispenser. The intercom voice congratulates Mike. Soldiers remove him and bring him into the hangar building where he meets the voice and asks him why. The voice says they're part of an international organization that believes social scientists must be allowed to study human behavior unfettered by conventional concepts. Mike asks, why? What for? The voice says science is a method. Gathering data, the voice begins to ask his own questions. Mike asks, so you've been watching on us on this whole time? The voice says, you're here to answer our questions. Mike says, then you see me put the explosives in my pocket. The voice asks, well, where are these explosives now? Mike says, on you. I put them all on you. And then Mike runs over to the control board to detonate the bombs, wounding the voice, and then begins to shoot the other wounded employees. Mike then shoots the voice multiple times. Mike walks out of the building. As the camera pans out, there's a plethora of CTV screens showing other winners from the other Belko experiment sites. As a female voice says, end stage 1, commence stage 2. That was the Belko experiment. Pretty visceral. I thought it was pretty accurate when it comes to the human psyche and survival. Yeah, that was pretty much it. What I got 20 minutes left. I got time for one more movie. We're gonna do the Green Inferno. Eli Roth, the Green Inferno. This is the cannibal movie, right? About the indigenous cannibal people, right? Let me see here. Oh, Jervis, thank you for the cash app, Jervis. Appreciate it. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, the Green Inferno. All right. The indigenous people, their land is being terraformed. This is in the Amazon, the rainforest in Peru. They're being bulldozed, and there's a protest at college campuses. There's a lecture on female circumcision. Muslims, Arabs, indigenous, and African cultures all engage in female genital mutilation. Alejandro plans a trip to the Amazon to stop an oil company from setting up an oil line underneath the Amazon villages and bulldoze the people out of it. Justine, whose father is an attorney for the UN, she joins the protest group to go to the Amazon to try and stop the bulldozing of the Amazon tribes in Peru. Their plan is to live stream their protest while disrupting the bulldozing. The protesters make their way into the Amazon. They see a black jaguar. Black jaguars are the guardians of nature. Okay, some cultures see them as the guardians of nature. Others see them as agents of hell. Okay, they impersonate UN workers and march into the zoning site. They attach themselves to trees, and the militia shows up. Justine has a gun to her head. The militia leader gets a call, and they stand down. They get arrested and sent back to Peru. Everybody's celebrating except Justine because she's mad. Alejandro used her as bait. During the plane ride, their engine catches fire and they crash land into the Amazon. And here the fuckery goes. They are attacked and drugged by the indigenous tribe. They're taken back to the village and realize they're cannibals. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. The village matriarch comes out and inspects the captives. They're put into animal cages except Jonah. Jonah is the big black guy, big, soft black guy. Okay. He's given a concoction to drink and is laid down on a stone pyre. The matriarch removes, oh my gosh. So she has this like hook claw thing, right? She then begins to remove his eye and eats it, and removes his second eye and cuts out his tongue and eats both of them. His arm is chopped off. His legs are chopped off. His other arm is chopped off. And the matriarch finally removes his head and drinks his blood, all while the guy is alive. Holy cow. They wash and salt Jonah's body parts for cooking. Alejandro tells the rest there's nothing they could do because they think they're the enemy. The Amazons begin to feed the village Jonah's cooked remains. One of the girls has extreme diarrhea. They concoct a plan to get the GPS before the battery goes dead back from the plane crash site. Alejandro admits they didn't stop anything with the protest. They would just be more bulldozers coming. Carlos, the dead tour guide, was hired by a rival company to delay the competition so that his employer could get their pipeline built first. Alejandro says it was all a stunt, a huge PR stunt. Alejandro tells Justine everything is connected, the good guys and the bad guys. He mentions 9/11 and the war on drugs. Justine then begins to befriend one of the Amazon children. The women are removed, and the matriarch inspects their vaginas and cuts each one of them, and Justine is selected. Justine has been selected for female genitalia mutilation. Okay? One of the girls tries to escape to run to the river to get on a boat. She makes it to the boat, as far as we know. Back at the hut, Justine is returned back to the cage and tribal decorations. They plan to escape that night. They're given cups of food to eat. The sick girl notices a tattoo patch at the bottom of her bowl that resembles her girlfriend that had escaped a few hours previous. All the bowls had patches of her skin that had her tattoos in the bottom of the bowls. Then she notices the kids playing with patches of skin, and then the sick girl breaks. She realizes it was the girl that just left, that escaped to the boat. She then breaks her bowl and uses a shard to slice her own throat, killing herself. In desperation, they stuff a bag of weed down her throat of the dead body, so when they consume it, they'll be too high to do anything. The Amazons are all passed out or high. Alejandro stays behind. One of them escapes, is caught and eaten alive because they have the munchies. Holy shit. During the escape, Justine gets washed down river. They make it back to the plane and find the GPS and get recaptured. Okay? Justine wakes to find herself being prepped for female circumcision. Meanwhile, Daniel is having his legs broken. Daniel is covered in a green paste and is being covered and eaten by bullet ants. Okay, if you know what bullet ants are, they're these big black ants. They say their bite feels like a gunshot. So there's a tribe in the Amazon, as a rite of passage, they must insert their hand into a glove filled with bullet ants, and they cannot say anything. They can't scream or cry in pain. They gotta sit there and take it for however many minutes. So yeah, bullet ants they're like one of the biggest ants on the planet. They're big. They're big black, and their stings are pretty bad. Okay. Right before Justine's circumcision, they're interrupted by discovery of the head of a UN worker. Okay. The little girl that befriended Justine before cuts her bondage loose. Justine escapes and grabs the GPS from Daniel before the little girl slits his throat. Alejandro begs to be let out of the cage. The little girl shows Justine the path to freedom. The others give chase, and she meets the black jaguar that lets her cross the river. The militia then attack the indigenous people, and she convinces the militia to stop killing the indigenous folks. Weeks later, not weeks later, Justine's put on the helicopter and testifies for her father and the UN. Okay. She protects the indigenous and says she never met any cannibals, and she sees another protest on the college campus. Then the shirts all have Alejandro's face on it. Okay. Now, I didn't know this when I first watched this movie years ago. There's a mid-credit scene. So the one particular cannibal, he's the enforcer. He's dressed in all black with yellow paint on his face. So mid-credit scene, Justine receives a phone call from Alejandro's sister saying she has a satellite image of her brother and they need to talk. The image shows Alejandro covered in black with the yellow paint face. So he's the new enforcer for the indigenous people. And that's the end of the movie. This is pretty great. Yeah, how they did Jonah was pretty bad. I mean, everybody else was pretty bad, but for some odd reason, man, brothers, we catch we catch it bad. We catch it bad, these movies. So yo, I think I'm gonna end it there. The call-in number once again is 646-547-1305. I'm gonna hold the line open for maybe 5 more minutes before I wrap this thing up. So once again, I thank everybody that sent me Cash Apps and Snapchats. Truth Teller Jervis, Big B, appreciate it. Thank you guys. All you maniacs that are watching me on YouTube right now on both channels. Shout out to you guys and everybody that's listening to the sound of my voice on thewakeupradio.com. Shout out to you guys. Let me see what else. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm gonna save these for next week, so that gives me time to do more prep and get more movies locked down for you guys, because yeah, I don't have much time to do this on the weekends to get my prep work in. I guess let's talk some urban stuff. What's going on in the urban media? Kamala Harris dropped out. Okay, whoop-de-doo. Tariq is a little bit short on the funds for his yeah, let's take it real quick. All right.
Super Slide, this is Edward Bailey again, calling from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yes, sir.
Hey, when you mentioned the black jaguar, the panther, guess what? As a part Native American on my mama's side, through the Choctaw lineage, that panther jaguar is one of my totem allies, bro.
Nice.
And that power that totem has helped me out through a lot of the dark times, I must admit. The thing about the panther jaguar, it also symbolizes the hero's journey, hence the warrior's journey.
Okay.
So it symbolizes your inner light being illuminated by embracing and understanding the darkness. Because you can't have the light without the darkness. They're complementary and needing of each other as the two, yin and yang.
Okay. Okay.
So, because I remember when I first got initiated to the ancient Olmec medicine wheel and culture, one of the totems that came up to my circle was the fox, and the other one was the panther, and another one was the eagle. Now, the thing about the fox is talked about a bit in this book called The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli, where it talks about the laws of men and the laws of beasts. So it says that when the laws of men fail, you must resort to the laws of beasts.
Mm-hmm.
And the mythology of Chiron the Centaur, who taught the princes Achilles and Hercules, reference to that example.
Okay.
So the thing about the fox totem, that's the great spirit symbol for the Choctaw people through my mama and great-granddad side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And it says in The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli that you use the nature of the lion to deal with the wolves, which is the physical problems, the physical threats. But you use the power of the fox to see the snares of the traps, which is the mental and physical and political traps and toils they have out there in society. And it's interesting to notice that the thing about the lion, my astrological sign is Leo, since I was born August 15th, 1969.
Okay.
Yeah, because one of my former mentors who mentored me on the spiritual path, saying that Edward, you got to realize that 1969 was a pretty mystical year. That was the same year that Jimi Hendrix performed at Woodstock and came out with the deep song called "About the Six Turned into the Nine."
That's right. Okay. All right. I'm learning. I'm listening. I'm learning.
Because when you look at the 6 and 9. The 6 and 9 talks about a relationship between the divine star child seed and also the animal seed. The 6 refers to the animal seed, which is the Caucasian, and the 9 refers to us as the melanated people. So you look at the way that they treated us throughout the centuries, man, the way that all the other races of people treated us, we are of the divine star seed. Because when they found this body of a black woman on the moon, which was known to be 1.5 billion years old, those people that found it from NASA were told by certain government officials that if you say anything like this, they'd be dire consequences. And Dr. Deborah Blair talked about it at length too. A dude that talked about the truth about the sun and other solar phenomena
Mm-hmm.
So, like when you talked about the powers that be, the certain people of the elite that want us to take our rightful place, this is what I've discussed with a friend of mine, which referred to as our divine right to be, divine beings that what we really are, because neuromelanin and U-melanin represents that. Mm-hmm. Like I told one friend of mine that the more neuromelanin and U-melanin that you have in your central nervous system and darker your skin, the better solar inductor and solar capacity you are.
Right.
I talked about that on Rain and Woman's chat one time this past Sunday.
Okay.
So ever since I've been out and about working out at the gym and Planet Fitness, there's been certain younger YouTubers that have been asking me questions about stuff as I'm, training my weights and also my Qigong practice and that sort of thing.
Good deal. Nice. Good to hear it.
Yeah.
I appreciate the info. Like, I learn something new every day. I appreciate you calling in and letting us know what's going on with that.
And also, Sly, you still gonna do that review of Body and Soul in 1981?
I got it in my phone. It's downloaded. I just got to sit down and go over it. I got it though.
Yeah, you know why they had Muhammad Ali in that movie, right?
Enlighten us, please.
Well, because they couldn't deal with him in Rocky for some reason.
I heard that story. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, because Muhammad Ali wasn't down with that Rocky mess, man. But the only Rocky movie I actually liked was Rocky 3.
Yeah, right. Because he needed.
About the eye of the tiger.
Yeah.
And the inner animal instinct he had to win. You know what I'm saying?
And
the tiger killer instinct that he had.
And I think the most important part
about it, that Apollo Creed didn't work together.
You're right. That was the most important part for me in that movie, that he needed to go to the brother man. That he had to get his timing and his rhythm down because he didn't. It was. Yeah. He had to go to the brother. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then also that swimming to get his inner body rhythm back in the box, and then the swimming so he can use muscle that he never discovered yet.
That's right. So yeah, Creed taught him the secrets.
That's why I had to learn in boxing too, was the swimming.
Yeah.
Besides the jump rope.
That's what's up. Yeah, I appreciate that. Definitely. But now I got the movie locked in, so I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it done.
Yeah, and also the thing about the Black Panther and the lion, they represent the Egyptian sun deity Ra, Amun-Ra, because to defeat the Silver Apophis, Amun-Ra takes himself to the mouth of the great cat, a cat man, the lion god.
Okay.
And that's the story that's the basis for the Thundercats. Because Lion is Leo and Jaga is the jaguar. And according to the ancient Olmecs, when you hear the roar of the jaguar, you hear thunder, Thundercat.
Okay. Well, shit. You learn something new every day. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I do thank you for calling back in and giving us those gems, Edward.
Yeah, man, and keep up those boxing lessons with your daughter, man. They're gonna come in handy because I'm teaching my niece how to box too.
Oh yeah, she has no choice in that. She's stuck with that. All right, all right, OG.
For the Tubman contest of 2021, myself in Arkansas.
Okay.
You look at the acronym of AR, that's Ra spelled backwards.
Duly noted. Well, I do thank you for calling in for tonight, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Peace out, brother. You stay up, all right?
Yes, sir. You too. And with that, we're gonna wrap this up. I appreciate everybody called in. Art, Iron 5, X, Edward. So you guys make the show and you make my job a lot easier. So with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. Wish everybody adieu, good night, and love and light. Y'all have a good one. Peace. Okay. No problem. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. There's It's coming, bro. I'm telling you. Mhm. Well, it's got me. I'm on the Baby Yoda wave. I'm looking for T-shirts now. So you know, I need you to. I'm with it. I'm with it. Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, considering it, as dark this show is with Disney, yeah, it's probably as dark as it's going to be. Nah, nah. Yeah. No, 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 no genocide today. Right? Yeah. Man, you yeah, go ahead, man. Yeah, you quit playing. Go ahead and watch it. Get into it. Yeah. I got a few in the vault. Like definitely I'm gonna do my anime. So I got my anime section blocked off. I got so I'm gonna do Akira. I'm gonna do Vampire Hunter D. Um and I'm gonna do Wicked City, I believe. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I gotta do Akira. That's just mandatory. So I'm working my way towards that. So when I do it, I'll have my block just strictly for anime. So yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. It is. It is. It is. It takes it just that's just too much. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's too much. That's a lot. That's a lot. That is. Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you will. Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Peace. Yo, I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. Anime heads. Who's seen what is it called? Is it called Kagan Ashua or shit? All I know is I thought it reminds me of Baki, right? It reminds me of Baki, and the dude Oma Toshido, he fucking dies. I was so pissed. Has anyone seen this? The anime is called Kagan Ashura. Come on, anime heads. I know y'all still in the. Y'all ain't left yet. Just humor me for like 5 minutes. No one's like, they're like, nigga, what you talking about? So no one knows what I'm talking about. His name is Oma Toshido, and he's like a Baki, but unlike Baki, he fucking dies. He fucking dies. So I'm talking to myself. So y'all know what the fuck I'm talking about. So y'all just like Sly's is bugging. No? Yeah? No? Okay. I guess y'all ain't seen his anime. All right. Okay. Yo, I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all have a good night. Yes. Y'all have a good night. Love and light. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Again for the second time. No, wait. For real. No one's seen this anime? You haven't seen that? What the fuck? Baki's the shit. But this kid, it's called what? Oh my god! Like Kagan Ashura. His name is Oma Tohido. Y'all really ain't seen. Man, I need to talk about that one because I liked it. But season 1 obviously ends with the Tournament of Annihilation. They're in it, but he ends up fucking dying. Man, this kid's badass. I'm like, oh, we got another Baki. No, this guy dies. So I guess. All right, I'm wrapping this up. Y'all have a good one. Peace.